Good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. The French company Total has confirmed it's investing millions of pounds in the UK's controversial shale gas industry, the first major energy company to invest in fracking here. It comes as the Prime Minister says he's going all out to back the industry. David Cameron says councils in England will be allowed to keep more of the revenues they get from permitting drilling in their areas. Our correspondent Danny Savage is near Salford in Greater Manchester, where there have been protests as another company carries out test drilling at a site there. Danny.
Sophie, the Barton Moss fracking site is about 600 metres down the lane behind me here. We are just a few miles from the centre of Manchester. This certainly isn't the desolate north. And here today we saw the strength of feeling there is against fracking. Protesters climbed onto the tankers coming in and out of the site and closed the road. It really did illustrate the strength of feeling as the Prime Minister headed out into the countryside to give the thumbs up to fracking.
The government wants to see a lot more of this. Energy companies searching for shale gas. Today, as one of the biggest oil companies in the world, Total confirmed plans to invest millions in exploration. The Energy Minister was outlining plans to encourage councils to give the green light to sites.
We know there's shale gas not just in the north, but also in the south. It'll be up to each local authority as to whether or not they agree planning applications. So there is a local say over whether it should go ahead. But if it does go ahead, what's important is that local residents and the local authorities should be able to keep some of the benefit.
To encourage local authorities, councils will now receive all of the income from the business rates of an exploration site. It could be worth up to £1.7 million a year. The industry also wants communities to receive £100,000 for each fracked well and 1% of the revenues if that well goes into full production. But will that be enough to deter opposition? At Barton Moss near Manchester today, anti-fracking demonstrators delayed arrival of trucks onto a site where drilling is underway. They warn fracking can pollute the air and water, but some local residents seem less concerned.
We don't think it's a major problem. I think the protesters are causing more trouble than the actual frackers themselves.
If it's going to help local communities, I mean, that's a good thing, obviously, but like you said, obviously, I don't know what the long-term effects of it are.
With what they make out the communities, they should put some back in.
This is a naked attempt by government to push local councils into accepting fracking, and I think really what it shows is that the government knows that local authorities don't want fracking in their areas, local residents don't want it, and there are huge risks attached. So this is essentially a bribe to push local authorities into accepting it in their area.
Fracking involves injecting water, sand and chemicals at high pressure into shale rocks far underground. In America, it's resulted in soaring gas production and plummeting energy prices. The government says the industry could generate 70,000 jobs and billions in investment. But will those cash incentives go far enough?
Local communities have to get some real benefit from fracking in their area, and that wouldn't be money going into the council, that would be money going into something like a local community trust, which will be invested and will build up year on year as there are the oil and gas operations, and that will be used for the benefit of the whole local community.
But the government insists it's going all out for shale. It expects between 20 and 40 wells to be drilled in the next 2 years. John Moylan, BBC News.
And Number 10 have also said that fracking could actually mean lower energy bills as well, so they've thrown that argument in as well. And John also mentioned there are 30 or 40 potential fracking sites across England and parts of the other parts of the UK as well. And you've seen the strength of the feeling here, you've seen the protests. That could be replicated across the country, and that will mean more delays in some areas where the protesters are, and also a big bill for the taxpayer for policing these protests when they take place. Sophie.
Danny, thank you very much. Well, let's pick up on that now. Our chief political correspondent Norman Smith is at Westminster, and as Danny says, you can see the scale of the opposition there. In the face of that, can the government push ahead with this?
Well, Sophie, if you'll allow me to quote Thunderbirds, all systems are go on fracking from the government's perspective. Why? Because they believe it could be a huge boost to the British economy, not quite on the scale of North Sea oil, but they're talking about tens of thousands of jobs. They're talking about revitalising manufacturing industry. And then on top of that, you get possible lower fuel bills. And on top of that, it is worth noting that the Labour Party, despite the odd quibble and niggle, are by and large supportive. But it may come, it seems to me, at a much heftier political and financial price than ministers are currently saying. Political price, obviously, because of the protests we're already seeing, but we've already seen with other big infrastructure projects, be it HS2 or Heathrow, the degree of difficulty governments can get into with these sort of local constituency protests, which means the financial package they have to offer, which has already been described by one Tory MP as crumbs off the table, it seems to me that may have to be significantly increased. So fracking, it seems to me, is set to go ahead, but the price ministers have to pay may be a lot higher than they currently realise.
Norman Smith in Westminster, thank you very much. And BBC News Online has more on the arguments for and against fracking. You can have a look at all that at bbc.co.uk/news. A public hearing into allegations of child abuse